Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Citizen video. My name is Brian if you happen to be new to the channel, and I've been on a journey of discovery with Star Citizen, have been trying to absorb as much information as possible, and shout out and big thanks to the community here for helping me on this journey. I've stepped into so many new ways of enjoying this game, and with patch 3.22 out, I'm very excited more so about the future of this game as well as what is to come. Now I'm working on some other videos, so if you guys like Star Citizen content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Get involved in the Discord, and also I'm going to be doing some giveaways as we roll out to 100,000 subscribers. I'm a little bit further away of that goal, but I just want to start communicating that out to you guys. I've got some plans and so much more, and we got a new subscriber right as I was filming this. Thank you, Bill Holland, showing up to the channel. I'm glad that you're here, and we've got so much to talk about. So today's video is going to be a reaction to Inside Star Citizen shipping out. This has been requested by the community, so if you guys have videos that you want to see me react to, sound off, send them my way. You can always jump into the Discord. You can always DM me. I know a lot of people or ping me in Discord, and they're like, I'm sorry for the ping. I was like, listen, as long as you guys understand that I will respond to you guys as soon as I can, then we're good, because sometimes I get real busy with the family, sometimes I'm busy with work, but when I do have time, I love to talk to other gamers. This is my social outlet. You guys are the bar, and we're hanging out with our virtual beers. I can't drink alcohol right now because I'm down 50 pounds. I got 60 to go, baby. And 2024 is gonna be my year. Oh yeah, that's a sip. That's a sip of water. I'm really having fun. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, but without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. I've already liked the video itself. I like to pre-like. You can always take your likes away if you don't think it earns it. You can always double tap dislike as well. I hear that the button's stuck right now, so thank you guys so much for the support, but let's dive in. Love the music in this game.
Alpha 322 is right around the corner and available for testing now on the public test universe.
Yeah.
But arriving with it are 3 newly flyable and drivable vehicles from manufacturers as varied as Apoa, Origin, and Drake. Let's find out more.
So I need to pause right here because talking about this, one of the things that I feel very lacking in right now is understanding the numerous manufacturers. I feel every time I step in and start to it's like there's another one. And so I'm really quite interested in that. So if you guys got resources on that, send them my way. Educate me. I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm gonna go also turn off closed captions while I'm at it.
So in Alpha 322, we have 3 new vehicles available, and they cover a huge range of both size and role, and we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about them. Let's start with the most exotic, the Air-Power Sant.
Wow, that looks so good. Sant.
The Sant is a medium fighter from Air-Power, but it doesn't follow the traditional medium fighter role that we see with human manufacturers.
Oh,
it
not
has,
human.
for its size, quite a lot of health and classic Xi'an high maneuverability, as well as being extremely flashy in both its function and form.
The idea with the alien ships is that we don't want them just to feel alien. We want them to feel different within their own rights, within that kind of alien spectrum. On the GATAC side of things, we've really kind of tried to make them feel quite industrial, quite strong and chunky. Whereas on the Apoa side of things,
chunky boys.
We took more inspiration from the insect form. So we want them to feel a lot faster, a little bit more kind of aggressive, and have a bit more attack in their shapes.
When you first see the Sant, you'll clearly see the family lineage between itself and the Katual, which is the light fighter from Air-Power.
It's their kind of second Xi'an ship that they've made, and it's really bringing kind of a big brother.
They both have 2 stages, or 2 transform states, from landed to the flight pose, and you see that very classic Air-Power flowering transformation from a more horizontal position to the more vertical flight and combat position.
It's still got the kind of nice big transforming kind of style when it transforms from landed mode into flight mode. But we've really tried to kind of push the alien aesthetics a little bit further this time, both interior and exterior. One of the kind of more unique elements, I think, on the Sant is its cockpit. Not just the space inside, but actually how you enter it. It's got this really kind of exotic, shall I say, seat that comes down to collect you from the player space. And that kind of floats down and takes you back into your actual pilot position. One of the things that we really spent quite a bit of time investigating and kind of really trying to kind of nail the visuals on was the actual interactions with the cockpit. We wanted to make sure we weren't stepping on the toes of what we did in the Gatax cockpit, and it needed to be like its own unique thing. Elwin and the Austin team kind of really
just talk about like this, the geometry. I love the shapes, lots of like circular shapes that are in this ship right now, but also the insane attention to detail. Star Citizen is like no other game that is as ambitious or as just wild, right? Like the fact is that when you look at where the game has come and the hurdles that it has gone and that the perseverance. I said this in my previous video about Light No Fire. It's like I don't like quitters, and this team is not a quitter. The Light No Fire Hello Games is not a quitter. These are people I aspire to. This is what I want to champion. Not that you have to, take off a cynic hat. You can always approach this with critical and rational thought, but in no way am I ever going to be for spreading bitterness and anger. Like the gamers that I find myself the most frustrated at is those who are bitter and angry, and they feel that everybody has to come to that same emotion response that they've come to. My hope is that I can help pull them out of that as opposed to being dragged into that negativity. Not that, again, a critical mind is a bad thing. Not that being a skeptic is a bad thing. Not that waiting and seeing is a bad thing. Those are all good things to practice on a daily basis, right? Delayed gratification, baby. It's a good skill to have. But at the end of the day, like, well, there... when you could choose to be anything in this life, choose to be happy, choose to give joy. And that is what this game has just dripping from it. And I love it. And I love it so much.
Nailed that visually. It's got these really nice sort of slate buttons with all the Xi'an text in it. And one of the things we were really keen to do with kind of all of our alien ships is remove a lot of that human element. They may be made to be human compatible, but we really wanted them to feel like their native race was the people that built it, and that's who it was made for, us, number one. And so we've got these kind of really nice interactive tablets with all the Xi'an text on them. We do have a number of paints coming out with the Sant. They are still currently just being developed and signed off as we're filming this now. Again, we tried to kind of do something not necessarily kind of completely new, but kind of just push the bar slightly with what we're trying to do.
Wow. I don't know if that was changing
kind of
on its own.
Where alien doesn't
or they're just doing it as part of the video.
Fancy and unique, but we do want it to feel a little bit different to what our kind of human races are. It's very obvious when you see the silhouette of the ship and when you see it in flight what it is, but the paints is kind of that little icing on top, and also it kind of gives that really nice read when you get up and close and personal with it.
The Sant is a fighter through and through. It really excels at that. It doesn't have any secret hidden features, but it does have all of our latest tech and features within it, such as weapon racks, personal storage, and accessible components. So this ship is really for those who prize maneuverability and position in combat. The firepower of the ship is pretty good for its size, but its real strength is its maneuverability.
That looks so fun.
So that's the Sant, available in 322, and we think it's going to be a great addition to our lineup of fighters and alien ships. Just like the other ones, it's great for those players who want that role, but just want something a bit more stylish and exotic.
Man, that's so cool. The X1 now. All right, let's go.
From there, let's go from space combat and atmospheric combat down to the surface and talk about the Origin X1 series.
The X1 is Origin's first hoverbiking game. It's their kind of answer to some of the other hoverbikes we've already got from different manufacturers, like the Nox, the Dragonfly. This bike was kind of developed alongside the 400i in its concept phase, and the idea was that this is that kind of classic, smaller kind of day vehicle that you can take out from your big, exciting explorer ship. Those two kind of go hand in hand. It has its own little garage at the front of the 400i, and it really just allows you to, once you've landed on planet, you can then kind of leave everything back in your ship and go out and explore and kind of chase down the thrills of the planet on a nice little hoverbike.
I'm sure the more enterprising of you out there will be finding all different ways of getting these into places they shouldn't be, such as the upcoming distribution centers.
What the heck? All right, I need to know more about distribution centers.
think one of the things that's been kind of super nice to see as the bike's kind of gone through its development is really selling the idea of this bike being a hopper bike. We've got a lot of VFX and lighting going in from the teams, really selling it that it does feel like a bike in the future. We've got these nice brake lights at the rear, we've got the kind of front lights, and one of my favorite bits on it is actually the cockpit, the kind of like the driver's space. The dashboard in there looks super nice, really sleek, kind of classic Origin, and it all flows really nicely with the rest of the shapes.
That looks amazing.
The X1 series is a series of 3 bikes that allow Origin to have their own edge of the market in terms of hover bikes and to have 3 different play styles within them. With the X1 Force, this is designed to aid in ground combat, allowing you to be on a speedy, slow profile target with some shielding to allow you to absorb a few hits and help engage combat. And then we have the Velocity, which removes the weapon hardpoint and instead gains speed. Whilst tuning is underway at the time of recording, we intend the X1 Velocity to be a competitor to the Nox, and both of those are designed to be faster than the Dragonfly, which is more utilitarian.
That looks cool.
So the Velocity is a great addition to the ground racing community and will be right at home in all the ground racing tracks.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out.
The base X1 is there to provide an option for those of you who don't like the Nox or just don't like whatever aesthetic you think Drake users have. And speaking of Drake aesthetics, that moves us nicely on to the last ship of 322, the Drake Cutter Rambler.
The Cutter Rambler is our 3rd variant of the Cutter series, and it kind of
the
rounds
ships
off
in this
the
game
series
are
as a
so
whole.
fire, man.
As we talked about at CitizenCon, the Drake Cutter family was always designed as a family of 3, and we've shown you the base one and the Scout. The Rambler is the 3rd one, and it is designed from the start to be the more fleshed out premium starter explorer combination of the 3. I know Premium and Drake might be a bit of a weird juxtaposition there.
They are a very functional manufacturer and no frills manufacturer. That really kind of is sold nicely on the interior space. We've sacrificed some of the rear cargo space for the larger habitation.
This allows extra space for both a suit locker, a food machine, and somewhere to eat that food, and a nice little table to chill at.
But even within that habitation, you can see how they've moved the bulkhead back one, they've moved the bathroom, they've opened up this nice space, and then they put, a seat, a desk, a little jump seat, and the bare minimum you need as a pilot going out and exploring our universe. We want to make sure there was visually some differences on the exterior. So we've got the kind of visual only differences, such as the kind of like the modified rear section. We've also got the kind of more functional stuff. So on top, it's got the extended fuel tank. Visually, we kind of lent into the idea of having your Winnebago or your camper van or whatever it might be, and it's got this kind of like roof rack aesthetic, but it's actually kind of stores all the extra kind of fuel for the extended fuel tanks. And then as with the Scout, we've got the change in the thrusters, and again, we've got a unique set of thrusters on a new nacelles on each side that really help kind of just break up that silhouette a little bit more variation. With the Rambler being kind of a longer range or an extended range vehicle, I think having the kind of like the slightly smaller, they look a little bit more efficient on the engines rather than these great big kind of individual engines. You've got these slightly smaller, more of them individual thrusters. I'm very happy with the Rambler. One of the things that we kind of really tried to lean into when we were developing the Rambler was Drake's kind of mentality towards building their ships. I think it kind of ticked that box of exactly what Drake would do. They've got this chassis, they want to make somewhere you can spend a bit more time in, somewhere that's a little bit more comfortable, but they're still kind of working to that Drake budget and design ethos. So I'm very happy with how it turned out.
The Rambler really takes the base Cutter to the next level in terms of living on board. I think we all saw that when the Cutter came out, but it was very much more of a camper van than an RV, which is what the Rambler is.
That looks great.
So that's a wrap-up of all the new vehicles coming to the Persistent Universe in 322. And as always, we look forward to seeing you all use them and abuse them in all different ways in the live game.
That looks so freaking cool. And thank you guys for sending me this video.
Alpha 322 comes
stuff.
with more than just vehicles. There's structural salvage, openable cargo containers, new derelict settlements, new hairs for players, new maps for Arena Commander, and more. But since this is our last episode of the year, we have a tradition here at ISC of looking back at everything that's happened the last 12 months and reliving some of our favorite moments. And, well, look, 2023 was good. great even if you gloss over that little rough patch in the middle there. But heading into the new year, all that I can really think about is everything that's on the horizon that's about to make 2024 the biggest and baddest year of our project yet. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to indulge myself, maybe switch out my CIG cap and put my backer hat on and tell you what has me excited about this next year for the Persistent Universe in a segment that I'm calling Disco Lando's Star Citizen 2020 Forecast. Now, without talking specific dates, let's discuss what's being targeted and currently on track for release in just the first half of 2024, starting with Master Modes, the new way to pilot and operate ships we've been discussing since CitizenCon 2952. Now, whether that's every ship or a staggered rollout of groups of vehicles depends on how work progresses. But it's a major change to the way spaceships operate in the Persistent Universe, and you can be sure that we'll update on it more when the time comes. And of course, when your ships aren't in flight, they can be stored in the newly persistent hangars that are arriving with freight elevators, freight kiosks, and the new cargo transaction system that we've shared on both ISC and this year's CitizenCon.
I need to learn more about that.
Now, all combined, they form the next major evolution of cargo careers and will also have far-reaching, broader implications for the entire Star Citizen experience. And then outside of vehicles and hangars, there's also a variety of FPS combat improvements coming to the first half of 2024. With improvements to reloading, the weapon wear and misfire system, scopes and dynamic crosshairs and charge and drain, and even more we'll be able to show you once we return in the new year.
I'm looking forward to that.
And then outside of strictly FPS combat, there are new player character features coming, like the updates to the EVA system, the visor and lens system, loot screens,
I can't wait for
item
these
interactions
things.
and the personal interaction system, and there's even new...
This is, like, when people keep asking me, like, what am I most excited about for Star Citizen? It is the quality of life. It is the, like, the UI and the font changes that come with what they've been working on for Squadron 42, bringing that into the Persistent Universe. And that is in and of itself, like, I think going to be interesting enough as somebody who's discovering this game for the first time, and everything feels new and exciting. That upgrade alone feels like it's going to be something well worth it, that I cannot wait to go hands on with personally, because they already sold me on it from the trailers and the engine demo and so much more. There is so much to like and to be excited about. So I cannot wait to see that. And then also the first person shooter stuff, which if you guys haven't seen, I've been stepping into the Arena Commander, and that's so much fun. Like, they really do a good job with the shooting in this game. And obviously it still feels like an alpha, but if this is where the alpha's at, man, the future of this game I think is going to be huge and bright.
New shopping and mission apps in development now. And while we're talking about apps, the first half of 2024 is also currently scheduled to see the arrival of our new character customizer with things like tattoos.
Oh yeah.
Piercings, scars, and yes, Virginia, it's true, beards.
Beards,
As
baby.
for how many and of what kind, only Andre knows for sure, but you can bet we're going to ask him sometime around March. And then, of course, if you're in-game, there's also a little thing called Mobiglass and an awfully big thing called Star Map. They're both getting their big updates in the first half of next year.
That looks so
and
much
I
better.
mentioned those enormous distribution centers that'll be the new microcosm homes for every gameplay and mission feature that exists in Star Citizen, as well as the 4, 5, 6, let's just say several new and updated vehicles that are making their way to the Persistent Universe in just the first 6 months of 2024. I did, just now. Now you can check those off.
I love the personality they bring into this.
Whew. Okay, so real talk. CIG hat back on. Now, you're probably looking at your screen and saying to yourself,
the same hat?
What about Pyro and 4.0? Well, don't fret. The things that we just covered are those that aren't too dependent on continuing foundational tech work like server meshing. So we feel pretty confident in targeting everything that we just shared for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
But when it comes to something as enormous as the complete Pyro system in Alpha 4.0, well, that's where the new preview channel comes into play. Now that said, Alpha 4.0 is currently targeting a summer 2024 release.
Oh, wow.
But that won't mean that you have to wait until then to play it or learn more about it. That's because in 2024, we'll continue doing play tests like the one we just completed, and you'll be able to follow along with its development firsthand on the preview channel. That's the planets, moons, space stations, settlements, and outlaw lifestyle that comes within the Pyro system, but also an entire host of additional new features, content, and quality of life improvements like, oh, I don't know, fully functional jump points, the new quantum travel system, new vehicle HUD and MFD work, resource management, hacking, and much, much more, all being worked on in tandem. The preview channel will let you and us test 4.0 together while maintaining the stability of the persistent universe with all those other great additions we just discussed. And then, in the summer of 2024, two become one, and we can avoid that thing that didn't quite go the way that we'd hoped.
The holiday live stream?
And then, just because we're cheeky, there are still some things better left for you to discover on your own. And don't forget, we haven't even talked about the back half of the year yet. All in all, 2024 is shaping up to be the watershed year for Star Citizen. And if we've learned anything this year, it's that through the trials of 3.18 to the successes of CitizenCon and everything in between, before that and coming up next, Star Citizen is a project that continues to iterate, to evolve, and to embody an experience you simply can't find anywhere else.
It's true.
Whether that's in the universe or within our community that makes all this possible. So thank you for helping us reach the heights that we have, and buckle up for the journey still ahead. We're in for one hell of a year. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next year.
Wow. Wow. Thanks for watching. I'm just going to see if there's any, like, you know.
So if it's all right with
there it
you,
is.
I'd like to indulge myself, switch out my CIG cap, and put my backer hat on.
Worth it. Worth it. So, guys, thoughts and feelings so far as I've been under the impression of the feeling that 2024 is going to be one of the biggest milestone years for this game, for this project, for the future, and to really kind of highlight a lot of things that are just, you know, like it feels like they're just out of reach right now, but 2024 is going to fly like by so quickly. And just what they were kind of teasing in the first half with the 4.0 alpha launching, the targeting this summer, it's going to be great to see, because I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm starry-eyed, I'm new, you know, we've seen them put out dates and timeframes and not hit them. Well, you know, like, yeah, that's a fact of development, and the developer in me will continue to give them grace, because the developer in me is saying the scope and scale of what they're building, I wouldn't be able to give accurate time frames. I hope that they've learned, though, because I think that no matter what, when it comes down to messaging, marketing, and more, that's where a lot of the friction hits the road. I know from my own personal experience, I was usually generally frustrated with the sales team because they'd make promises that didn't align with the reality of the situation that we were in at that time. Anyway, guys, that's going to conclude today's video. Be sure to keep it locked to the channel for the upcoming giveaways, and also some future announcements that I'm going to be, you know, sharing more about the game that we're working to build. I'm partnering with a game studio, and we're working on pre-production right now. So I'll be sharing more information about that in future videos, as well as ways to kind of get, you know, sneak peeks and previews, but we still got a lot more work to do. This is still in the early phases. We're looking at pre-production kind of lasting about a year before we have the bandwidth to really push forward on the code and get something playable in your hands. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for if you're new and you've hit that subscribe button and pushed us closer to 100,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. And thank you guys so much for a wonderful 2024. If I don't see you guys in the next video, hopefully I'll see you in 2024, as there's going to be so much more to talk about and cover. But until then, guys, take care.